What I've learned is that you get what you prioritize. You don't get what you want, you don't get what you pray for, you don't get what you ask for, you get what you prioritize. And I came to this conclusion because I used to guest teach in Detroit public schools. It's a rough school district, and I would go to some of these schools, and I remember asking the students, how many of you have two parents in the house? Almost nobody raised their hands. I asked the students, how many of you work a job? Almost everybody raised their hands. I ask you, how many of you have a bank account? Almost nobody raises their hands. So most of the kids here have a job, they don't have two parents, and they don't have a bank account. And I would start talking to the kids about, well, where do you spend your money? The first problem was a lot of these kids were taking these checks to the check cashing places, the liquor store or the gas station, and then the store owner would take a big chunk of that check, and then they would spend a lot of that money on candy and pop and a bunch of other dumb things before they got out of the store. But beyond that then, a big thing, especially then, was buying Jordans, buying J's. And when the new Jordans, the new J's would drop, people would do whatever they could to pay $100, $200, $300 for this pair of shoes. It was so crazy to me because when they needed the money to buy these shoes, you would do whatever was necessary. You would save up money to the point where people wouldn't even eat. Students would forego eating dinner because they don't want to spend that money so they would have the money for those shoes. So you were prioritizing the shoes and you do whatever it took, whatever the sacrifice was, because that was important to you. And so I want to flip the script, and that was my intention there, was to flip the script and to make that intention, that goal, that purpose, not to buy shoes, but to build the wealth and to understand that you can become wealthy, because the reality is wherever you are, whether you're working to make your first $10,000 or you're working to save your first $1 million, it's possible. But you got to be intentional with your priorities. What is important to you right now? Is it Netflix? Is it saving $10,000? Is it investing money? Or is it having fun and playing the video games? Is it going on vacations? Is it work-life balance? What's important to you? Now you might say, well, Jaspreet, what do you mean? Work-life balance is important. Okay, if it's important to you, then you keep doing your work-life balance. If this is important to you, then you're gonna go out and get this money. You gotta figure out what's important. If you wanna live this cushy lifestyle, oh, I need my 8 hours of sleep, I need to get my work-life balance. Okay, keep doing that. But don't complain when you don't get what you want. You gotta figure out what's important to you. And what's important to you, you better work for. Don't complain, don't look at what other people got, go out and get what you want. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the result that you get. It's not the effort, it's not how much you feel about it, it's what you actually get. And if this is what you want, figure out how to do it. Put in the work. And I know nowadays it's very weird for people to talk about, oh, you're working really hard. Look, some people work hard, some people don't. Hard work by itself is not going to get you there. I want you to, number one, work hard, but then number two, work smart, and then number three, work in the right direction. The problem is, you can't teach somebody to work hard. The first step is working hard because you got to have the mindset to actually want to work. A lot of people don't have that. If you got the hard work, you got one of the hardest parts done. The next thing you got to do is figure out how you can stop working hard for a dead-end job. You want to work hard for something that can actually scale. The way you do that is by using this hard work that you have in a way that can actually grow exponentially your income, that can grow exponentially your wealth. And maybe that means you start investing your time and your money into a new skill, or you start investing as much money as possible into assets, and then working in the right direction. This means now building your financial education to know what's going to give you the fastest growth. But you got to really now understand that hard work is a part of the process. A lot of people love selling how you can build wealth and do all these things without hard work, because who wants to work hard? I mean, it's much easier to build wealth quickly and easily. But the reality is that's not how it works. And if you're willing to stick with it, if you're willing to do the work, now you got to figure out how do you get the best effort out of your work. Because there are some people that work for an hour and they make 15 bucks. Some people make 25 bucks. Some people make $2,500. And now you got to understand what's the difference in skill. When I was getting started in my kind of journey, I used to work at Auntie Anne's Pretzels. And when I started working at Auntie Anne's Pretzels, I was under the age of 18. So they were able to pay me below minimum wage, even though I was doing more work than the people that were over 18, but hey, that's the way that it worked. And I was getting paid $5.45 an hour. And I remember this because at the same time, I would also work at weddings. And I played an Indian drum called the dole at weddings. And when I first started playing this drum at weddings, I was making 50 bucks for 1 hour of work. And I started wondering how this made sense. I would go to a wedding, play for an hour, make 50 bucks. Sometimes I would make $100, but I made 50 bucks, $100 at this wedding for a little bit of work. I would work at Auntie Anne's for a full day and I would barely make 50 bucks. So what was the difference? Well, when I was flipping pretzels, it was something that was easy to find workers to do. Everybody could do that. There was very low skill involved, and there was just a lot of people that wanted to get that job. When I was working at weddings, I was playing this drum. There was less people available to do that. Less people had that skill, less people willing to do that, and because there was less people, I was able to charge more money. And as I got better, my rates also went up. I went from charging 50 bucks to $250 a few years later because I got better. And I realized, hey, if you want somebody good, somebody who's experienced, you gotta pay me more money. When I went from charging $50 to $250 for my performance at a wedding, it wasn't that I was working 5 times harder, it's that I became more skilled at what I did. And so as you start building this skill, as you start building this knowledge, as you start building whatever you want to do, what is that skill? What is something that you can monetize? Think about that. Is what you're doing today just hard work, you're just selling your time? Or is there something actually scalable with what you do? Is there something actually monetizable? And if there's not, you might want to think about transitioning some of your hard work from just selling your hours for dollars to now spending some time, you're taking a step back now, spending some time to learn a game, to learn the skill, to learn something that you can sell. And it's going to be hard because you're going to start learning something brand new that you've never done before. But if you can start to build and learn a more higher income skill, a more valuable skill, well, now you can take this skill and monetize it. And now you can start earning more money. But the question is, are you willing to put in that work? Because it sometimes feels like you're starting over. And that can be embarrassing. And that can be weird. But if you're willing to put in the work, you can see the upside. I mean, there are people making a lot of money in this world. They don't necessarily have some special skill. A lot of people don't. You look at some of the richest people in the world, they're not always that smart. But they had the risk tolerance, and they had the drive, and the ability to learn. And there's so much free content out there on YouTube and podcasts. And then you can also buy some books to start learning. And this can help take you from wherever you are right now to 2 times, 3 times, maybe even 10 times more than what you're getting right now if you're willing to put in that work. Now, look, as you start to do that, don't forget everything else that I've taught about on this channel, which is being smart with your money. Number 1, don't spend all that money. And then number 2, invest that money. But for today's video, I'm talking about how do you actually get some more money? How do you actually get some more? And the reality is you can do it, but you gotta be willing to put in the work. Stop settling for what everybody else thinks is normal. Stop settling for average. It's okay not to be average. It's okay to want to be a little different. It's okay to want to be weird. You might not have any friends in your circle that think that's normal, but there's people on the internet that think that's normal. And now you can start surrounding yourself with people with that minority mindset and start finding more opportunities. The minority mindset has nothing to do with the way you look. It's nothing to do with your skin color. It's nothing to do with your ethnicity. It's the mindset of thinking differently. Because the majority of people are okay doing what the majority of people do. But if that's not okay for you, you gotta start doing something a little bit different and start consuming different types of content as well. Now, for those of you that are investors, again, my team at Briefs Media does publish a free daily newsletter called Market Briefs, where we break down what's happening in things like the economy, the housing market, stocks, crypto, and the global economy into a fun and witty and easy to read newsletter. We have hundreds of thousands of investors that are reading it every day, and it's completely free. So if you have not joined Market Briefs yet, I have the link for you to join down in the description below. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you gotta do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.